Okay, good morning, Gideon. We are in the middle of the Shaar HaKolel of Rabbi Avram David Lavut and his commentary on the Alkane. So what did we cover so far? We first learned a number of reasons for why the day Kiddush is called Kiddush Rabbah, notwithstanding the fact that the day Kiddush is, technically speaking, strictly on a lower level. The night Kiddush has very strong biblical legs, in which the Torah says to make mention of the Shabbos to sanctify it. And only by the extra word day, which could mean daytime, even though it probably means 24 hours, it kind of hints to the fact that you should do something during the day. And if we have this rabbinic idea of augmenting the Shabbos meal, not to embarrass the Shabbos meal, the Shabbos day meal, which is of a greater meal, begin it with a cup of Kiddush, which essentially is just by a pirgaf on the halachic level. And we explained, it's notwithstanding all that, it's still called Kiddush Rabbah, the Grand Kiddush, and a bunch of different reasons. Mm-hmm. And then we explained yesterday the sources for the paragraphs read before. So we went back as early as the 15th, 14th, 13th century, where there was customs to add paragraphs before the Hagafen, after the Hagafen, all to kind of augment this kind of simple ceremony, which is just Hagafen, and other things, say other things, l'choid Shabbos, in honor of Shabbos. And then we looked at the Pri Etz Chaim, the Kabbalistic work, transcribing the Arizal's teachings, which is the foundation of our practice, which has these various paragraphs. That's what we looked so far. Now, Rabbi Avram David Lavut, the Shaar HaKolel, is now going to help us understand a little bit more about why it's called the Grand Kiddush, and why it's called the Grand Kiddush will help us more understand why we have these specific paragraphs, at least parts of it. And it'll also help us understand and answer our question about beginning with the Alkane, and whether that's appropriate to start with the words Alkane, or maybe one has to start earlier. Certainly, halachically, halacha gafen is enough, but is it appropriate based on custom and content and message to begin with the Alkane? So this is where we're going today, Be'ez Hashem. So, on the right-hand column of the Shaar HaKolel, the line begins with the word Shaar, HaShabbos, Perek Kaf, parentheses closes, and then it says Aval. On the right-hand side of that, that one. The one without the pictures. See it?
Yeah.
You have it there,
yeah.
Sure. Aval?
Down here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Third to last word, Aval, after the parentheses.
Oh, okay.
Aval Divrei Rabbeinu B'chaye. See it?
Okay.
Here.
This one?
Here.
Okay.
Okay, Aval Bat. Divrei Rabbeinu B'chaye, based on the teachings of Rabbeinu B'chaye. Al Pasuk, on the verse, Kishom Chelkas Mechoykek. We looked this up, we saw that Rabbeinu B'chaye, where he says, the Pasuk describes Moshe Rabbeinu as Mechoykek, and the translation of that word is somewhat mysterious. There's all kinds of commentaries. And Rabbeinu B'chaye is going with the commentary that Mechoykek means grandeur, greatness. And there he explains that anything that is associated with the name of Hashem, the name Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, is called grand. And Moshe Rabbeinu gives the Torah, which is the context of this description of Moshe Rabbeinu as Mechoykek, that the context there is Moshe Rabbeinu is giving the Torah, therefore he's called Mechoykek, which is grand, because he's bringing the Torah, which comes from the name of Hashem, and therefore is grand. In Hebrew, Gadol, and in Aramaic, Rabbah. And therefore, Ma'asher Bir Hatam Shenikra Shen Rabbah, taking from that which he said, in explaining why Hoshayna Rabbah is called the grand Hoshayna, the grand salvation, right? The last day of Sukkot is called Hoshayna Rabbah, the grand salvation. It's the day when there's a judgment for rain, right? Which is why the prayers on Hoshayna Rabbah are all around water. We celebrate with the Arava, which grows by the water. And there, the Rabbeinu B'chaye explained that Hoshayna Rabbah is exactly 26 days after creation. Creation is the 25th of Elul. Count 26 days later is Hoshayna Rabbah, and therefore there's the name of Hashem association, 26 being the numerical value of the name of Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, and therefore it's called Hoshayna Rabbah, the grand Hoshayna. So he gave us that insight, in that there's a creation element, and there's a God's name element, We're getting that, right? It's 26 letters, 26 days, 26 a numerical value of God's name after creation. So there's a creative element. Hoshana Rabbah itself is about the judgment for rain. So there's a investor from Hashem element. There's Hashem blessing creation. And that is why Hoshana is called Hoshana Rabbah, the great salvation. Right. So that will help us understand why the other things are called Rabbah great. This is where we're going. So V'chishu Gamkein, and there he lists as well in the Rabbeinu B'chaye. Asher Kiddush Shachar, that the daytime Kiddush, Nikra B'lashon Chazal, is called by our sages Kiddush Rabbah, the grand Kiddush. The Loikein Shalayla, but the nighttime Kiddush is not. U'Mesayim, and the Rabbeinu B'chaye concludes, Shekulam, that all the things on the list that are called grand or Rabbah or Gadol, Hebrew, English, or Aramaic, Derech Echad Lahem, they all have one explanation. They all come down to one central thing. He lists there quite a few things that are called either great or grand, or Gadol in Hebrew, or Rabbah in Aramaic. So explains the Shaar HaKolel. What's at the core of this association with God's name and being called great, and as it links to what he said about Hoshana Rabbah, because that's where he does give explanation. When it comes to Hoshana Rabbah, he gives a little bit of explanation, because he says it's 26 days after creation, so he says something. So using that, what do we get? So he says the Shaar HaKolel, very phenomenal idea. Ms. Bayer, it's understood, shekol davar, that anything, asher boy toloi, upon which is dependent, chayis ha'olamus, the life of the worlds, the kiyumim and their sustainment, shalmaisa bereshis, of God's action of creation, aidei avaya, through the name of God, nikra gadol Rabbah is called great or grand. So any experience upon which is dependent the divine investor into creation, that's called grand. Specifically when the divine investor is coming from the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. So he doesn't explain this, but perhaps, and this will become more clear as it goes along, perhaps, when Hashem creates the world, right, the dominant name of Hashem is Elokim. At creation, it's Vayomer Elokim, Bereshis bara Elokim, Aleph Lamed Hey Yud Mem. That name Elokim denotes judgment, restraint, and concealment. That's the nature of creation. Hashem tempers his presence, conceals himself, condenses his life energy, to be invested in finite creation. Okay? But then you have, through our service of Hashem, that's the purpose, through our service of Hashem, we draw upon Hashem's transcendence, Hashem's energy as is beyond creation, and we draw that into creation. That's the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. When we serve Hashem, certain things, as we'll learn, certain things that are associated with drawing upon divine energy to be invested in creation, that's the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, that's the grand. It's grand, because it's beyond just the simple creation as it's been done. It's a reinvigoration of creation coming from a transcendence. That's the grandeur.
The spiritual soul that sort of transforms the material.
Yeah, that's why it's called Chelik Havaya Amoy. The Jews associated with Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. Yes, correct. And this would be Hoshana Rabbah. Creation was 26 days ago. Hashem creates the world is. But then 26 later, on Hoshana Rabbah, the great salvation, through the Jewish service, he brings upon blessings in a great increased measure. He draws upon divine investor that's greater than just the simple system of creation. That was 26 days earlier. 26 days later, 26 being the numerical value of Hashem's name, is the grand salvation. There's the grand investor through the Yidz Avodah of Sukkos and Simchas Torah and the Hashanah and all the prayers he does. Then he elicits from Hashem a greater investor. That's why it's called grand. So now we have to associate that notion with all the other things, specifically with Kiddush by day, and not Kiddush by night. So let's see how.
We only say the Yud-Kei once a day.
We say it many times. We don't pronounce it.
We pronounce Yud-Kei.
No, we never do.
It's in the
pronounce Hashem's name as it's written.
Yeah, it's in the Siddur.
We say we replace it with Adonai. We don't articulate the name of Hashem. We say Yud-Kei Vav-Kei.
Yeah,
but we don't actually. Yes, that's correct. But we don't actually say the name as it's spelt. We spell out the letters, like I'm saying it now. Yud-Kei Vav-Kei.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, we do say that. That's right.
Only say it once.
That's it, yes. Other Hasidic circles actually do it every time they do a mitzvah. They say L'Shem Yichud. But actually, that statement is the same idea I'm trying to say here. Yichud, the union of Yud Kei Vav Kei with Shchinte. Shchinte is the divine presence that's manifest into creation, kind of like a Lakim. And we're asking to unify the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the transcendence of Hashem, to be invested into creation. And that, he says, is associated with grandeur. That's what Torah does, right? Because Torah is Mechaykik, is the first thing here is Torah. Moshe Rabbeinu is called Mechaykik, which the Rabbi Bachai translates as great because he's the one that brings Torah. That's what Torah is all about, to bring the transcendence of Hashem into this world.
How does that come out in terms of manifestation when that happens?
Sorry?
How does that manifest itself here in this world when we're able to manifest that?
It's hard to say how we experience it, but we're going to see maybe a little bit Shabbos. When a person does a mitzvah, when a person focuses, and he's in, when a person's ensconced in, let's take Shabbos because that's the subject at hand, or Torah learning. When a person's ensconced in the Torah learning to the point that everything that else exists in his world is non-existent, to some degree or another, we're living a transcendence. You're experiencing a transcendence. Sorry?
When we're learning on Shabbos.
That's right. After Rabbi said there's commentary on on the Kavna.
They should put the whole Kiddush on Netflix.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go forward. I want to finish this today. At least this paragraph. Okay, so in Cain, if so, Nida would seem to me HaKolel, the difference. Shebelayla Oimrim. So now we're learning this. The day Kiddush is called grand, which means this inventure of the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, the transcendence into creation, is specifically by Shabbat day Kiddush, not by night Kiddush. Why? Next is like this. Shebelayla Oimrim, to your point, Alan, Vayechulu. I've been asking about that. We say Vayechulu, and we say Vayikadosh Oisoi, and Hashem sanctified it. The Loi Koso, the Pasuk does not say Vayikadosh Hashem, that Yud Kei Vav, that God sanctified it. Vayikadosh Hashem Oisoi, that God sanctified it. The name of Yud Kei Vav Kei does not appear in Vayechulu. That Vayechulu is lifted from the description of creation. As I just finished saying, creation at the beginning is Shem Elokim, is divine concealment. So the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei is not there. It says Vayikadosh Oisoi, he sanctified it. But Vayechulu Shemaim V'Aretz V'Chatzvam, Vayechal Elokim es Yem Hashvi, Vayechal Elokim, and Elokim concluded, referring to God as Elokim. Elokim blessed, and then Vayikadosh Oisoi, and he sanctified it. Without saying Vayikadosh Hashem Oisoi, doesn't say the Yud Kei Vav Kei there. That's why the Vayechulu is at nighttime, because the Yud Kei Vav Kei investor specifically by day, not by night. We'll see soon why. So Lo Nikra Rabba, and therefore it's not called grand. But by Shachris, what's the pasuk we say just before Paragafen? Pasuk Al Kain Beirach Hashem Esim Shabbos V'Kadasheu. Therefore Yud Kei Vav Kei, therefore had God sanctified, blessed the Shabbos and sanctified it. So here we're invoking Hashem. The Yud Kei Vav Kei is sanctifying the Shabbos. Nikra Kiddush Rabba Ki Hashem Nikra Gadol. Now we're calling it the Grand Kiddush because the Yud Kei Vav Kei is called Gadol, called Grand.
We did that to keep.
So Friday night, the name of Hashem does not appear. The Yud Kei Vav Kei doesn't appear in the psukim we say before, because then that transcendent investment is not there yet. We'll see in a second explanation why. But by Shabbos day, when the investment of Yud Kei Vav Kei is there, we say Al Kain Beirach Es Yoim Hashem. And where do those psukim come from? Those psukim come from Exodus. Those psukim come from the Jews as they're being commanded to keep the Shabbos. So when it's a description of creation at the beginning, before Torah, there's no investment of transcendence. It's the system of creation. But when it's described in Exodus, when it's described the way we describe it Shabbos day, described as it is from Mechaykik, from Torah, where it is about it bringing transcendence into this world, then the Yud Kei Vav Kei is there. Al Kain Beirach Hashem Esim Shabbos. Therefore, it was sanctified by Hashem himself, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, and that's what's called grand. So now we're changing our perspective back to Kiddush being a lower level. Now the Shabbos day Kiddush is becoming a little bit more, okay, let's keep on going. So now what's the difference? Why is that? Why is it that Shabbos night, the Yud Kei Vav Kei is not there, but Shabbos day, yes? We're just saying the facts so far. That Friday night, the Yud Kei Vav Kei, the investment of the transcendent, not there. Shabbos day, yes. Why? Now he explains. Now, the reason is Kihu Kabbalah Shabbos. The Friday night is Kabbalah Shabbos, that we accept upon ourselves Shabbos. And mitzvah and the truest way to accept upon ourselves Shabbos, this is halach actually, is b'tosefa Shabbos, is by adding to Shabbos. To take Shabbos a few minutes early. We don't do it by Kiddush usually. Usually by Kiddush, we're already a few hours into Shabbos, or an hour and a half into Shabbos, but we do have the obligation to take upon ourselves Shabbos early. But by a couple minutes. So, which is why they have the 18 minutes there, right? We're supposed to light Shabbos at least 18 minutes before. In Yerushalayim, they do 40 minutes before. Other places have other customs, but we take Shabbos early. It's a mitzvah action. I had my Rosh Yeshiva in Detroit, my older Rosh Yeshiva, Rabbi Steinmetz. I remember him making the claim that there's room to say that a person should even verbalize his acceptance of Shabbos, not just in his mind. Okay? So the primary here is the Friday night experience is that the Jew adds to Shabbos into the weekday. And in response, Hashem gives him a new soul, an extra soul, the invigorated soul, right? We smell the Havdalah, we smell the Pesach Matzah Shabbos because we lose that extra soul. So Friday night, we're given that extra soul, right? Right? And Hashem gives us an extra soul so that we can draw upon ourselves Kiddush Shabbos, the holiness of Shabbos. So what's the primary experience of Friday night? Is the Jews taking of Shabbos upon himself. And Hashem giving us the energy to do so. But the day of Shabbos is already holy on itself. By the time you come to Shabbos day, the primary here is not whether I've taken Shabbos upon myself or not. The primary is the fact that it is Shabbos, period. Friday night, even though by the time I make Kiddush, it's already Shabbos. But the primary Friday night avoida, the primary Friday night service is that I take upon myself Shabbos. The Shabbos day experiences, accept it, don't accept it, it's Shabbos.
Is it kind of like the idea of below to above?
Exactly. Friday night is below to above. Shabbos day is above to below. Hashem's response.
I thought that was the other way.
No, we're below. We're below.
We're transcending all.
No, it's above to below because Hashem's transcendence is being vested.
When is it?
Shabbos day. Oh. The Friday night, we're taking it upon ourselves. Hashem gives us that energy to do so, but we're bringing it upon ourselves. And if it doesn't say by Kadesh Hashem or say God sanctified it, because we're doing the sanctification here.
Oh, that's Friday night.
Friday night, we're doing the sanctification primarily. We're taking it upon ourselves. But Shabbos day, it's holy because Hashem decided it's from above. And it's explained in the Orach Chaim, the classic commentary on the Torah. Al HaTorah on the Torah. Al Pasuk by Yivarach Elokim Esyim HaShvi. When the Pasuk says, and God sanctified the Shabbos by creation, in Bereshis, in Genesis, which we quote Friday night, says the Orach Chaim, Shevachol Shabbos, the Mashim Mekayim Mitzvah Shabbos, every single Shabbos, when a Jew fulfills the Mitzvah of Shabbos, Poilim Chayes HaOlamus, we elicit from Hashem that he invests energy into creation, the Kiyum Ma'aseh Bereshis, and sustaining all of God's work in creation, L'shishi Yom HaMaboyim, for the 6 days that are to follow Achar Shabbos. So when we fulfill Shabbos, we take upon ourselves Shabbos, Hashem responds with investing into the world for the next week.
Almost like a mini Rosh Hashanah.
Sorry, like a mini Rosh Hashanah. And V'shahu Iker Kiyum Ma'aseh Bereshis. And this is the primary reason by which the world is sustained is because of the Shabbos. And this is the meaning of that which our sages say, anyone who davens on the eve of Shabbos, as Shabbos begins, a Jew takes upon himself Shabbos, and says the Psukim of Vayachulu, the Psukim we say Friday night, it's as if he becomes a partner with God in creation. This is what the Gemara says. This is a proper, legal, so to speak, partnership. Ayin Shom, see there in the Gemara.
Hashem's name in that Vayachulu?
Not the Yud Vavke. Not the Yud Vavke is not in there. See, so Friday night is we taking it upon ourselves, and Shabbos day is Hashem's response. And in Shabbos days, Hashem's response is the transcendence. Is Hashem oisoy. Hashem akein beirach. Hashem esim Shabbos. Therefore, God sanctified it in response to what we've accepted upon ourselves the night before. And therefore, Shabbos day is Kiddush Rabbi, the grand Kiddush. That's Hashem's response.
Transcending the limited version of
creation
to His
transcendent energy. Correct. In response to what we have done the night before. Now we're seeing a beautiful reason why it's called the grand Kiddush.
Friday night, he wants us to take the initiative to begin.
Exactly.
Saturdays, now here it is.
Exactly. So Shabbos day, Friday night, exactly. We take the initiative and we say we're taking upon ourselves Shabbos. And if for no name of Yud Vavke, it's only a Lakim mentioned there because it's concealed. It's our work. And then the Shabbos day, Hashem responds and says, okay, here comes the grand Kiddush. I'm investing in this whole thing.
Really,
Al-Kain Beirach Has Yom Al-Kain Beirach Hashem Esem Shabbos. Therefore, Yud Kevavke sanctifies Shabbos.
it's actually the nighttime that's giving the status of the great Kiddush to the day.
Oh, so that's a beautiful thing.
Why
Now we're understanding exactly. We're understanding why Shabbos day is called the Grand Kiddush, but also not in negation of the Friday night,
No, it's giving
but in
it to
response to the Friday night Kiddush. Exactly. So let's continue. Based on this, you will understand Masha Kodim Kiddush Rabba, why before the Grand Kiddush Shabbos day, Mekdimin Apsukim V'Shomer B'nei Yisrael Shabbos, last the Shabbos. Now we know why we add those Plukim V'Shomru. Because what's the V'Shomru? It describes the Jew doing Kiddush, the Jew doing Shabbos, V'Shomer B'nei Yisrael Shabbos. The Jews guard the Shabbos. Last the Shabbos to make the Shabbos. Zocher Shem Shabbos L'Katchoy. Remember the Shabbos holy to make the sanctified. Zeu HaKol Pulos Yisrael. This is all our activity. So we start describing, hey, look, Hashem, we're doing Shabbos. But afterwards, Al Kain Beirach Hashem Esem Shabbos L'Kadishehu. Then we say, and therefore you, God, sanctify Shabbos in response to what we're doing.
in response.
Correct.
That's
So
what elicits the
So we start off with V'Shomer B'nei Yisrael Shabbos. The Jews keep Shabbos because we keep Shabbos. And then we say at the end, and therefore you, in response, sanctified Shabbos. V'Zeu Kiddush Rabba. And this is the grand Kiddush. Hashem's response. Kiddush Hashem Hashem. The holiness of the grand name of Hashem. Yud Kei Vav Kei. Right? V'Yisrael Ma'an Guinness Shabbos. And Jews add delight to the Shabbos. Muvarchen Alakois, and they bless over the wine. K'moshe Yisad Harizal, as the Harizal established it. Nahira Yishreva, the Kiddush Rabba, Uvechamra Tava, the Veitech De Nafsha. He's quoting from the Eskimul Sudasa that we say, right? Where Nahira Yishreva, light shines through. Where's the Siddur? I'm looking at the Siddur here. 1 second. I have it here on my phone, on my computer. Where is it? We say, where's the English? No, sorry. It's from the want to give me the Siddur? That's not here. It's from the not on the cart there. It's from the Sadlu Sudasa. Sorry? This is disappeared from here.
Of the Jews,
Sorry?
80% of the Jews don't understand that. They think that the dedication Friday night, that's it.
They gotta learn. Okay. So we say on Shabbos day, the song, the poem written by the Arizal, which is put into the Shabbos day service, Shabbos day meal after Kiddush, sometime during the meal, and we sing this. That song. So in there we say, and this is the pasuk he's quoting, the verse he's quoting from the poem. The second paragraph. Then the Hayda Yishveba, may the supernal light shine therein. Big Kiddush Rabba, through the great Kiddush and good wine of Chamatava, the Veitech Denasha that gladdens the soul. So we're asking that Hashem shine his light through our grand Kiddush. Because that's the nature of the grand Kiddush, is Hashem's response. And he puts here in the parentheses 240, I just closed it, but it's right before Mincha. 240, it's 250, page 250. Okay, and he concludes. So he puts in the parentheses here the Kabbalistic notion of these lines. Okay, so let's learn it again. Let's learn on the inside. The last few lines of Moshe Yasad Arizal. Here. U'kamosh Yasad Arizal, as the Arizal established it in this poem, Nahayra Yishveba, let the light shine through them. I knew this is to say, Oy Kedushas Yisparech Shemoy. The light of his holiness may be blessed. Shem Habaya, the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Lachein, like Sov Nahayra Stam, Ba'alef L'Besoif. Therefore, it doesn't say Nahayra with an Aleph at the end, but rather Nahayra with a Yud and a Hey to implicate that it's talking about God's name. Nahayra means the light. Let the light shine through. But the Nahayra in Aramaic could be Nahayra with an Aleph at the end. But instead it says Nahayra with a Yud Kei to indicate that the light here is the light of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Big Kiddush Rabba through the Grand Kiddush. Hainu Beirach Hashem Hashem Shabbos V'Kadasheu. This is God blessing the Shabbos, as we say in the Al-Kain. And with good wine that gladdens the heart, this is the fact that we hold the cup of wine and we take delight in the Shabbos. Now listen to these words at the end. And this is in a segue what we'll learn tomorrow in answering whether or not a person should say if it's appropriate to begin with the Al-Kain. He says, "V'lachein therefore, the siddur and the siddur hatevis al kain." The last paragraph al kain, that line, Hashem says, these words, and therefore God blessed the Shabbos and sanctified it. And ba'oisis gedolos are much bigger letters. Look at the al kain in the siddur. It's in bold. Why is it in bold? There's no instruction that says there, and you should begin to say these words out loud. But for some reason, that line's in bold. Why?
It's the one that's invoking the
Now we have the answer.
transcendent.
The answer, like the first half of the pasuk. Al kain is in the middle of a pasuk. The pasuk starts off it's because God made to create the world, and therefore He sanctified the Shabbos. So why is that part? And therefore He's bold, right? The says the Shaar HaKolel, says Rabbi Avram David Lavut, because that's the highlight. Everything else is a preamble. We're keeping the Shabbos. Yes, Hashem, we're doing it. We did everything we have to. And therefore, you sanctify. That's the main point here. That's what turns into the Kiddush Rabbi. That's what turns into the Grand Kiddush. And therefore, the Al-Kain is bold.
But when he says therefore, it means what's therefore, if you want to.
Continuation. Oh, so we're going to get there tomorrow. But now, at least what we're getting is that the highlight of the whole thing is the Al-Kain. The highlight of the whole thing is, and because of all this, therefore, you, Hashem, sanctified the Shabbos, invested this great transcendence of yours in Shabbos. And that's expressed in these lines. Al-Kain Be'erech Hashem Esiyam Shabbos. And therefore, the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei sanctified and blessed the Shabbos. And that's why it's in bold. And likewise, a book called Mishnas Chassidim, Hatevis Halol Roshumis Bekavim. These words are written with lines. So in old printing, when it was difficult to bold letters and make them smaller, the way they would want to highlight something is by putting apostrophes inside the words. Like the way you would have like an acronym. Like the way it says
some of these abbreviated
words, right?
Right here.
Yeah, exactly. So that's Chaf Aleph 21. But sometimes you'll have that inside a word, the two little lines inside a word.
Right here.
Yes, that's Taf Lamed, that's 434. But sometimes you'll have those lines in a word just as a way of highlighting it. So he's saying that in the book called the Mishnas Chassidim, over there too, the Al-Kain is put in these little, they put these little parenthetical things to indicate that it should be highlighted. Okay, so here's Rabbi Avram David Lavut's commentary. So if we stopped over here, what would you say? Is it appropriate to start from Al-Kain or not?
Yes.
Oh, maybe yes, because that's the highlight of the whole thing. The highlight of the whole thing is, and therefore you, Hashem, sanctified. So maybe you're right. We're going to put a pin in it, and that will be our discussion tomorrow. The other paper we have there is 3 different views on whether or not it's appropriate to begin with Al-Kain. 3 views: the view of the Chafetz Chaim, the view of the Aruch HaShulchan, and the view of Rabbi Chaim Noah. We're going to get to that, and we'll see how this commentary of Rabbi David Lavut fits into that. But at least now we got some language to understand on the Kabbalistic level why it's called the Grand Kiddush. And now we understand why at the beginning Avram David Lavut chose to highlight the reason for why it's called the Grand Kiddush, even when he gets to the halachic reasons. He didn't want to go with the reason that it's said so euphemistically. Because if you go with that reason, it sounds like it's not really, but it, kind of. He went with, no, it's called great, just like Teruma Gedolah is called great, because it's the first. He wants to give it its own importance, and especially now this explanation which is hinted to in Rabbeinu B'chai, where Rabbeinu B'chai just says it's called grand because it's associated with the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, without explaining how. But based on what he said about Hoshana Rabbah, that Hoshana Rabbah is 26 days after creation, so we understand it's creation plus Yud-Kei Vav-Kei equals grand, and that's Shabbos. Creation, end of 6 days of creation, plus the sanctification of Hashem in response to our taking upon ourselves Shabbos. That's the grandeur. That's the Yud-Kei Vav-Kei. And that's why it's called Kiddush Rabbah. So Friday night, now this explains also, by the way, why Shabbos day, there's no bracha, except for Hagafen. What's a bracha? A bracha is when we bless it. But here it's Al-Kain Be'erech Hashem. Hashem does the blessing, not us. If we made a bracha on Shabbos day, it would undermine the whole point here. Friday night, where we're told we have to take upon ourselves Shabbos, okay, so you make a bracha, so you take upon yourself Shabbos. But Shabbos day, Al-Kain Be'erech Hashem, Hashem is doing the blessing, so we don't bless it. We just say Hagafen, just to delight in the Shabbos. But you're Hashem are doing the blessing. It's kind of like one of the reasons why every month, this week's going to be Shabbos Mevorachim, right? The last Shabbos of the month, the Shabbos before the next month, we bless the month that comes, right? But the last Shabbos of Elul, we don't bless the month that comes. We don't bless Tishrei. We don't do the Kiddush HaChodesh on Shabbos before Tishrei. Why? So one of the reasons is Because Hashem blesses Tishrei, and with the power that Hashem blesses Tishrei, we bless the Shabbat, we bless the months to come. What's my point? My point is that when Hashem is doing the blessing, we don't speak, He speaks. So on Shabbos Mevarchim Elul, Shabbos Mevarchim Tishrei, we don't do the bracha of blessing the new month because Hashem is doing it. So likewise, Shabbos day, on Friday night, we are doing the blessing of Shabbos. Okay, so we have to make the bracha. But Shabbos day, we don't make a bracha. Al Kain Beirach Hashem. Hashem blesses. So the fact that we don't have a bracha is not a less, it's more. It's more.
It's almost like it's a little bit, not the same, but a little bit. When the Kohanim bless us in congregation.
It's the words of Hashem.
That's
right.
Because it's really Hashem's the mouthpiece.
It's Hashem's blessing, not the Kohanim's blessing.
It's just a flow through.
That's right. It's Hashem's words, not our words.
Right.
So Shabbos day is Hashem's blessing, not our blessing. Friday night is our blessing. And in response, Hashem's blessing Shabbos day. So now we're getting a little bit more flavor for the importance of the Shabbos day meal and the Shabbos day Kiddush. And that would also explain why the Shabbos day meal is greater than the Friday night meal is greater. Even though the Kiddush, right? Because if the point here is that we should delight in the Shabbos, considering that Hashem granted His holiness, then Shabbos day is when it is. Friday night is us invoking Shabbos. But Shabbos day is Hashem blessing Shabbos, so certainly we should celebrate that with a greater meal. So all ties in very beautifully. Okay, God willing, tomorrow we're one more day on the Alkain. That's it. Then we get back to our Gemara. So tomorrow we'll address if it's appropriate to begin with the Alkain. And again, 3 opinions somewhat related to what we just learned here today, considering the importance of that line Alkain.
Right.
That's really, really interesting.
Yeah. Okay, wonderful day, Yidden. Very, very beautiful teaching.
Most people think they do the blessings on Shabbat on Friday night.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
People got to be educated, but Baruch Hashem, and beautiful are Yidden that even though they're not educated, they're still making Kiddush.
No,
that's the beauty.
Because we learned this, it makes it even better.
That's what happens. That's right. When you're in the halacha, you're in the Kabbalah, when you invest yourself, when you do that mitzvah, you have so much more appreciation for what's happening. You understand the halacha, the custom, the history, and the Kabbalah of it. It makes I've been putting more intention to Kiddush ever since we started learning this. I'm hoping the same with all of us. Okay, wonderful day, Yidden.